This is the Locked On Jets podcast. It is Saturday, August 13th, 2022, and I'm your host, John B. from GanggreenNation.com. Our motto here is your team every day. We have new episodes each day, Monday through Friday, but we are here on Saturday for a special emergency mini episode. The Jets played their preseason opener last night against the Philadelphia Eagles, a game the Jets eventually won with a late touchdown in the fourth quarter, but Zach Wilson got hurt, and I felt like this could not wait for our regular show on Monday, so we're here today on this Saturday to talk about what happened. And this was in the first quarter. Zach Wilson got a couple of series. There was a play where the right tackle, Max Mitchell, who's starting for the Jets because of injuries, George Fant not ready to go, Dwayne Brown not yet ready to suit up for the Jets. So Max Mitchell lost his assignment up front. Zach Wilson's scramble made a nice play evading pressure, took the ball up the field, and then tried to make a cut. He tried to cut inside, and he went down. And he got up limping. He left the game. And from that point, it was obvious Zach Wilson was not going to return. You're not going to put your quarterback back out there playing hurt in a preseason game. The official word came out Saturday that Zach Wilson has a bone bruise and torn meniscus. He's out 2 to 4 weeks, which is not the worst case scenario. I think when Jets fans were watching that, many of them last night feared the worst. And this was not helped by some of the content that was put out there. You know, we are living in a society the last couple of years, and I guess I'm going to sound like an old man right now. We just have too much content. And one of my least favorite things that's happened in recent years in the NFL is you have these doctors on Twitter who think they can diagnose a player's injury sitting on their couch. And there was one very prominent one last night who declared Zach Wilson's out for the year, stated it as a fact, even though he had no basis to do so. It was unbelievably irresponsible. And listen, I'm a content creator, so obviously I'm producing content here, but I feel like in many ways there's too much content. This is a perfect example of this. Why do we need doctors to diagnose players they haven't examined themselves? Can we wait 14 hours to let the actual people on the team's medical staff make the diagnosis? So Jets fans were panicked last night, and part of it's, it's one thing if you're a doctor to say, okay, it could be this, it could be that. It's another thing to say, all right, the player has been diagnosed after the official diagnosis is made by the team. This is the typical recovery timeline. Last night there was a prominent website and Twitter handle that declared with zero information, zero ability to confirm it, never checked Zach. Of course they didn't check Zach Wilson out. You got people sitting on their couch declaring Zach Wilson's out for the season, upsetting people, just being dishonest. And there's no other way to put it. Absolute dishonesty and getting people upset. And in some ways, maybe that makes the news a little bit easier because people were in such panic that maybe the Jets had lost Zach Wilson for the year. The hearing he's only out 2 to 4 weeks doesn't sound quite as bad. Now Zach's going to miss the rest of the preseason, and this time frame means if it's accurate, and the Jets are giving us an estimate right now, if this time frame is accurate, that means it puts us right about opening day for the regular season for Zach Wilson's return, because 2 to 4 weeks, 4 weeks from tomorrow is the week one game against the Baltimore Ravens. So Zach Wilson may not even miss any time, which at least regular season time, which would be good for the Jets. Now he's out for the preseason, which, preseason doesn't really matter that much. Zach had a rough game yesterday, but I don't know how much you can read into a couple passing attempts. I mean, you've seen play. I mean, if you watch the NFL, you know that a quarterback can get off to a bad start in a game and end up playing a really good game. So I don't want to read too much into Zach's performance last night. In preseason, there are so many prominent players in this league who don't play preseason. The lack of practice time, that could be a bit of an issue as you're trying to develop chemistry, especially with somebody new like a Garrett Wilson. He actually looked like he had pretty good chemistry with Tyler Conklin last night, but you have another new tight end, CJ Uzama. So it's not an ideal situation, but at least you've got Zach Wilson back. And the Jets are actually not really built to be a quarterback-dependent team. I think that's by design, because you don't want to put the weight of the world on Zach Wilson's shoulders this year. This is not about Zach Wilson for the Jets this year turning into an MVP candidate. And that's the right way to approach it. For so many times, in so many recent instances, the Jets have essentially tried to have a young quarterback carry the entire team, and that just doesn't work. You need to your job as a franchise is to support the young quarterback, not to have the young quarterback carry your team. So the Jets have built a pretty good infrastructure. Now, it took a hit when Mekhi Becton got hurt. They did sign Dwayne Brown, but the Jets have tried to build a run game around Zach Wilson, and they've tried to surround him with quality receivers. So this also creates a scenario where the Jets are not really a team that's dependent on the quarterback. Of course, they're going to need the quarterback to play well. They're going to need quality quarterback play. But this is not a team like, say, Green Bay, where the quarterback has to do it all. That said, they have not done a spectacular job as far as depth goes. And Joe Flacco's the primary backup. And yes, I know Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl a decade ago, but he's close to a decade removed from being a quality starting quarterback. And if you needed Joe Flacco to start 17 games for you, you'd be in trouble, because we've seen this. We saw it in Baltimore near the end of his tenure there. We saw it in Denver. Joe Flacco's just not built to do that anymore. What I do think Joe Flacco can do is, if you need a game or two, maybe he can get you through that. And I always believe that every quality player has maybe one great game left in them. So even if we get to a situation where Flacco has to start week 1, maybe he's got one good game in him. I don't think he can hold up over the long haul. He's getting old, but beyond that, his play has really deteriorated in recent years. That's why he's a backup. Joe Flacco used to be a quality starter. And when he won that Super Bowl with Baltimore, I thought he was heading. At the time, there was the joke: it was the meme, is Joe Flacco elite? Because there was Flacco was kind of the dividing line for quote unquote elite quarterback play for a while. Those days are long gone. But you need Flacco to start one game for you. That's not the end of the world, especially against Baltimore. Maybe he'll be motivated going up against his former Ravens team week 1 if he needs to play. So ultimately, it feels like the Jets kind of dodged a bullet here with Zach Wilson. And it was also, the thing that's also scary is in a weird way, it being a non-contact injury, because typically the non-contact injuries, if you follow football, those tend to be pretty bad. I mean, this is what happened to the Jets back in 1999, if you're a longtime fan. Vinny Testaverde suffered a non-contact injury when he had to cut trying to recover a fumble and tore his Achilles and was out for the entire year. So the fact that it was non-contact, in a way, actually kind of made it scarier for the Jets. So, and again, the way everything went down yesterday, I feel like it almost made today more of a relief, because in the normal world, when your quarterback gets hurt, you find out he's going to be out 2 to 4 weeks. Even if it's preseason, you're going to be upset. But based on the way everything happened last night, with all of these fake reports about Zach being out for the season, maybe it ended up making us a little bit more relieved when we found out what happened. Now, there are questions: when Zach going to be ready to come back? And I'm of the mindset that they should probably hold him out until he's 100% healthy. I don't think you want a compromised Zach Wilson out there. Developing is going to be hard enough, but I don't think they should hold him back for the sake of holding him back. Now, we know that the first couple of weeks the Jets are playing AFC North competition. There's some good defenses in that group of games. I don't think you hold Zach Wilson out for the sake of just holding him back. But if Zach Wilson's compromised at all, that's why you have Flacco. You have Flacco to maybe get you through that a short stretch. In an ideal world, I'd like a backup who can get me through a longer stretch, but I do think Flacco, as much as I'm not a Flacco guy at this point of his career, I do think Joe Flacco can get you through a short stretch. And again, the question comes back to how much is losing this practice time going to impact Zach Wilson? Because although a lot of prominent players don't play in preseason, you do wonder whether Zach's going to be a little bit behind, because now he's going to miss the end of training camp. Of course, he'll probably be on the sideline for part of this and get the quote unquote mental reps. Watch the game from the sideline and think about how he might address a certain play here or there. So those are some questions that come into mind. But ultimately, this could have been a lot worse for the New York Jets. They lose Zach Wilson. You don't like your quarterback getting hurt. It's certainly not a good thing to have Zach Wilson be injured, but at least it's not the kind of thing, at least as far as it sounds, like he's going to miss significant time. And we'll just try and make do with Joe Flacco. And Mike White is still with the Jets, so now Mike White, I think there have been rumors for months that maybe the Jets would look to trade Mike White. I think that's probably on hold right now. There's a new star, by the way, another Jets quarterback who led the comeback last night, And on Monday's episode of Locked On Jets, we'll talk about what the contents of the preseason game. We'll get past the Zach Wilson injury. We'll talk about who performed well for the Jets in this game and what that means going forward. But that's all for today. This has been the Locked On Jets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Again, your team every day is our motto. If you enjoy what you see or hear, hit the subscribe button and you'll receive notifications as new episodes are posted. If you are listening on a podcast source, please give the show a 5-star review. If you're watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps the channel out and it helps other Jets fans find Locked On Jets. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll be back on Monday. We'll talk about the Jets-Eagles preseason game from last night, which was a victory for the New York Jets.